Hey, let me tell you about the Anchor app we use to make this podcast. It makes putting together a podcast so easy and way less stressful than we ever thought it would be. Let's start with the fact that it's free, not like here's a 7-day free trial. No, it's free, which is great for when you're balling on a budget. Anchor has creation tools that let you record and edit from your phone or your computer, whichever you choose. Oh, and Anchor will publish your podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so many others. Did I mention that you can make money from your podcast using Anchor with minimal listenership? It's honestly everything you need for a podcast in one easy place. So download the free app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Welcome to episode 6 of our podcast. Excuse me, Karen, where we broadcast our trauma because it's cheaper than therapy.
Yeah.
Podcast people!
We just want to say thank you to everyone who keeps listening and supporting us through this whole journey. We are so appreciative and thankful for each and every one of you. And we just wanted to give a shout out to you guys and let you know.
Yes, thank you so much. We have so much fun doing this, and we hope you guys are having fun listening.
Yes.
It's time for this week's edition of The Bitching Corner. Da-da-da.
Ooh.
Lauren, what are you bitching about today?
So, what I'm bringing to the bitching corner this week is college fucking sucks.
Oh, yeah.
So hard. But I know I just have to hustle, bust my ass, and just hurry up and finish it so I can make hella bread because I'm not smoking hot enough to be a trophy wife, but I'm domesticated as fuck though.
Yeah.
Just saying.
She cooks, she cleans, she's got it all. Da-na-na. But no, for real, she cooks. And she cooks good.
I cook, and I can clean.
Yep, she
So
can.
just saying.
Hit her up, hit her up.
Lacey, what are you bringing to the bitchin' corner?
This week to the bitching corner, I'm bringing depression.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, I just been hella depressed, and I have like the worst migraines, and they won't go away, and insomnia. So I'm just tired. I am like full exhausted. I know I said that in the last episode, but it's carried over.
With seasonal depression.
I have lifetime depression.
Same, but
It's
I
just,
feel you on all that.
yeah, I'm just tired. I'm here for the podcast though, so.
Hey. All right. Well, enough with the intro talk then. Lacey, what's your fucking tale this week?
Today's Karen tale is the time I made an impact on a Karen's life.
Ooh.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
This tale is brought to you again by the assisted living facility.
Aww.
Yeah. So, boom. Back at it with a backstory. When I first started this job, I had to shadow someone for like 2 weeks to learn the ins and the outs and the who's and the where's and the where's what's. And there was this one lady. Her and I had a love-hate relationship.
Okay.
And for the sake of HIPAA laws, I'm going to call her Sophia. Only because she was from Sicily and she reminded me of a dark-haired Sophia from Golden Girls.
Yes.
We love Golden Girls.
We do. And I'm half Sicilian, so we also love Sicilians.
Yes. I love me them Sicilians.
Hey.
Anyways, so after all my shadowing, I was finally on my own. And you get your own list of people. And on my list was Sophia. And I remembered her from shadowing, and I was terrified because she was always busting everyone's fucking balls.
Like a true Sicilian.
Oh, like a true bad bitch.
Hell yeah.
So on my first day on my own, I go knock on her door. She tells me to come in. Now, for her, she needs a little more help. She was in a wheelchair. She wore the briefs. So you had to physically get her out of her bed into her wheelchair, take her wheelchair into the bathroom, get her on the toilet, and change her clothes and briefs there.
Mm.
So we do that. I put her on the toilet, change her, and you have to take her down to breakfast. So we go downstairs, and she sat at a table all by herself because she is the type of bitch that does not want to talk to anybody in the morning. Like, while she's eating her breakfast, do not talk to her. Do not look at her. She will stab you. Like, she does not give a fuck. If
Okay.
you look at her wrong, she will be like, "Can I fucking help you, bitch?"
Yeah.
I've literally heard her say this to a person, and I'm just like, Sophia,
Yeah.
calm down. And if her breakfast is like wrong, like if she got eggs, bacon, and a muffin, and they gave her 3 pieces of bacon instead of 2, she would flip out.
Game over.
Yeah, like maybe they were trying to brighten your day. No, she wants 2 pieces of bacon. Okay, she would flip out if there was like an extra raisin on her plate. She would flip out. She was watching her figure,
Very
and
particular.
I was like, okay, girl, like, do you? It was always fun to watch her go off on other people, but it was not fun at all being on the receiving end. So after breakfast, you have to pick her up and you have to be on time because she cannot miss her shows and she has to call her friends. You do not come between her and her social life because she will not stand for it.
Okay. I feel that.
So my whole first day on my own, I had her. She was one of my people. So I would take her to breakfast, lunch, and every time she called, like the office, like needed help, something, we would be there to help her. I would have to go and do random checks on her, make sure it was good. I thought I did so good. There was no complaints, and my boss told me I did a great job. I was so hopeful for this job. It did not last long. 2 days later, I came into work and I checked my list, and who's on it? Sophia. So I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, hell yeah, I'm here for it. Bitch, I thought. I go to her room and I knock on the door and she says to come in. And so I'm like, okay, I come in and she's like, no, hell no, get the other one. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I'm so confused. I have no idea what's going on. And she's just like, not you, not you. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do? So I step out into the hall and I call one of the other girls over the walkie and I'm like, hey, can someone come to Sophia's room? Like, I don't know what's going on. And all
Right.
I heard back, like they hit the button and they just laughed. And I'm like, are you
Oh
fucking
no.
kidding me? So I'm just like standing there, like waiting, and my coworker comes up and I'm like, what's happening? And she's like, well, what'd she say? And I was like, I don't know. She keeps saying, not you, not you, not you. And to get the other girl. And she just laughs and she's like, come on. And we go back in the room and she sees the other girl and she's like, yes, yes, you help me, not this one. Like, I'm fucking insulted. I'm a goddamn delight.
You are.
Right? And my coworker's like, I'll take Sophia, you can take room whatever. And I'm like, okay. I'm so confused on what's happening and I'm scared I did something wrong. And she just goes, I'll tell you later. And I'm like, okay, bitch, I'm not good at waiting. I'm so stressed the fuck out. I have zero chill. You can't, saying, I'll tell you later is like going to a significant other going, we need to talk.
Right. It's like anxiety to the max.
Yeah. So I'm freaking out like I'm going to get fired. I didn't. just so everyone's aware. So I'm like, I have zero chill. So we take everyone to breakfast and we go back to the office and I'm like, okay, what the fuck's going on, bitch? Like, tell me. Well, apparently Sophia didn't want me to help her because I was new and I didn't know how she likes things done. And she threw a
Mm.
fit when she told them that she was going to have to teach me how she likes things done so I do them correctly.
Okay, Sophia.
Yeah, and she goes, "Oh, that won't do." She doesn't want to train a new one. Okay, like I'm a fucking
Wow.
puppy. Whatever.
Duh.
So my coworker has a mid-morning shower, and I have to bring everyone up for breakfast, and that includes Sophia. And she is so fucking salty. She is nothing but a bag of salt and vinegar chips.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have to like mentally prepare myself for this interaction. So I go to her table and I'm like, "Hi, Sophia, how was your breakfast?" And she's like, "It was fine." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm here to take you back to your room." And she's like, "Where's the other one?" And I'm like, "She had to go do a shower, um, but I can take you to your room." And she's like, "No, no." And I was like, "Well, either you can wait here and be in the kitchen staff's way when they have to clean, or I can take you to your room where you're more comfortable and you can, get your phone and you have your TV." And she's like, "No, no, not you." And I'm like, "Okay, well, unfortunately, it's either me or you sit here." And she sighs and she's like, "Whatever, fine," and lets me take her to her room. So we go up there and I'm like, "Do you need anything out? Like, do you need anything before I go?" And she's like, "Of course I need more. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to change my my underpants and I need you to turn on my TV." And I'm like, "Okay, like let's do this." I put my gloves on. I help her in the bathroom get her onto the toilet. And I'm like, "While you're doing this, I'm going to turn on your TV." And she's like, "Okay." So I do that, turn on her TV, um, and I go in the bathroom and see if she's done. She's done. I help her. She does all her stuff herself. I just get her back in her chair. So we go back to the living room and I hand her the remote. And I'm like, "Okay, like I turned on the TV. Is there anything else that you need?" She hands me back the remote and is like, "I need you to turn on channel 2." And I'm like, "Okay." I hit 2. Okay, here's your remote. Oh, I don't hold it. Where would you like me to set it? I want to put it in within reach for you. And so she's like, "Just put it here." So I put it on like her side table and I'm like, "Okay, do you need anything else before I go?" "Yes." "Okay, Sophia, like what do you need?" "I need my morning snack." Like you just didn't have breakfast, but whatever. So I go get her snack, and her daughter was like super cool, and she like made her mom snacks. And they were like, these were morning snacks, this was lunch snacks, and this was like nighttime snacks. And like there was different ones. And I was like, "Okay, well, which one do you want from the morning thing?" "I don't care." So I just grab one, give it to her, and I'm like, "Okay, do you need anything else?" "No." So I leave. I'm like, "Bye. The other girls will deal with you." So I helped her with everything and she was like just being a bitch the whole time because apparently I'm not doing it right. So she goes to my boss and tells her that I suck and she wants nothing to do with me because like yeah,
What?
because I do my job and I won't bend over backwards for her. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I literally put channel 2 on for you while you had the remote. I brought you whatever." But I wasn't I wasn't good enough. I was doing my job, but I just wasn't bending over backwards for her. She spent like a straight month talking shit to my boss and coworkers about me.
Hmm?
Yeah, it was the worst. So one day, it was a little over a month after I started working there, her call light goes off. And everyone was in the middle of showers, and I had just finished a shower, so I was the only one free. So I go to her room, I knock, you just hear her yelling. So I go in and I'm like, Sophia, are you okay? And she's just in the bathroom. She's like, I fell. And I'm like, oh shit. So I like throw my gloves on and I'm like, are you okay? And she's like, not you. And I'm like, Sophia, like, come on. So I help her up. I get her onto the toilet. She tried to go to the bathroom on her own and she forgot to lock her wheels. So she fell out of her chair. So I get her up on the toilet and I check her out. I check to see if she has any injuries or any bruises, if there's anything wrong. I like touch like spots on her head and ask her to count, like see how many fingers I have. Just I was like asking her questions. Did you hurt yourself? Did you hit your head? Nothing. She was fine. She was just super embarrassed. And then she started yelling at me like her falling was my fault. And I'm like, Sophia, you specifically requested that I don't get assigned to you. This has nothing
Right.
to do with me. But if you like, I could put you back on the floor and I can get the girl that's assigned to you for the day since I'm not good enough. And she was just like silent.
Oh, you
So,
told her.
yeah. So I get her like we finish her up and I take her down to like the building nurse and she checks her out and she's perfectly fine. She's just like really really embarrassed. And I feel like this was a turning point in our like yeah, like
Work
our relationship.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. She started requesting me and like we were on good terms. And after a while, we started to become friends and I would stay after work sometimes and watch Jeopardy with her. And on my last day working there cuz I quit I think almost a year in because I was moving like up to where I live now, which is like an hour
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's like an hour and like 15.
yeah, minutes away. So on my last day, I stayed after and I hung out with her and I promised to visit her the next day. We were going to do lunch. Like I already had her order, so I was just going to pick us up food and then come over and we were going to like do a puzzle. So this part, believe me, don't believe me, it's completely up to you. I don't I I don't care. But I went home that night and I had a dream. And she came to me and she was telling me like bye and that she's gonna miss me. And I'm like, Sophia, like calm down, bitch. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. Like, why are you being so dramatic? And she's just like, no, no. And I'm like, I'm bringing you lunch. Like, we have a girl date.
Stop it.
Yeah. And she shakes her head and just like waves. And I wake up to my phone ringing and it's one of my ex coworkers telling me that Sophia passed away in her sleep the night before and her
No
daughter was
way.
there. Yeah, her daughter was there and was asking for me. So I just like threw on like the whatever I had close. I
Oh
like
my
barely had time to put on a
God.
bra and I am out the door and I drive like the half hour to get there. And as soon as I got there, like the daughter was outside waiting for me and she thanked me for taking care of her mom and how she always talked about me and how great I was and how I would stay after and watch shows with her and bring her snacks and just
Oh
spend
my
time with her. And like when I tell you my ass was sobbing, I was sobbing. It was
God.
the
I'm about
saddest.
to.
It was one of the saddest days ever.
Oh my God.
So I went to this lady's funeral and the daughter introduced me to like the relatives and everybody was telling stories and talking about how much of a ball buster she was her whole life. And I just like felt really glad that I got to be a part of her life and like
Yeah.
just be there for her. And like to this day, I have her little memorial card in my wallet and like I have a lot of memorial cards because
Oh,
I've had a lot of like friends and family die, but like only like my great or both my grandmas, my grandpa and my uncle are in my wallet
hmm.
and hers is right with them because those are like the people that
Mm.
I like loved most in life.
Yeah.
So
That just like pulled my heartstrings so hard.
Yeah, so my story is a little different. It
Like she was a Karen at first, but then
oh,
it
she
got
was
good.
she was the biggest Karen. Oh yeah, that's definitely why I said I feel like I rehabilitated her. Like I made a
Yes.
yeah, I made an impact on her life. Her daughter told me that. Like I'm still friends with her daughter on like Facebook and stuff.
Yeah.
Um the nicest fucking people, and I miss this lady to this day. She was oh she was such a fucking Betty in the end.
She sounds like a true Betty at heart, but she just like had a Karen moment for
She
like
had
half of her life, you know?
all of her life.
Right.
She didn't care. If she did not know you or did not whatever, like did not like you
Mm,
and didn't want to get to know you, she was a Karen. But like
right.
once she like gave you a chance,
You was good for life.
yeah, she was honestly the best.
Mm, she sounds great.
She was.
That was a great tale.
Thanks. I try. I try to
You
bring
will.
my best.
Per usual.
Okay, Lauren, enough with the sappy. Tell me your tale.
So, my Karen tale this week is nothing like yours whatsoever. The complete opposite almost. And it's about a Karen I had when I was working in retail in the fucking lamest yet weirdest mall in our area, and you know what mall I'm talking about.
Oh, the mall I grew up in?
Yeah.
Yes.
So to start off, I was working at a kiosk. And if you don't know what that is, it's not even a store. It's those little like booths in the middle, like in between the stores. Like, the walk in the middle of the walkway.
The middle of the aisle.
Yeah, I hope I explained that good enough for y'all. But
It's like a
so,
stand.
yeah, but this was a stand or kiosk that sold every body jewelry you could ever imagine, and also wallets, necklaces, and belts for whatever reason. So I would normally get like the scene kids, the hardcore kids, and like the hippie girls that want plugs and nose rings and belly button rings, all that crazy kid stuff. But like before every purchase, we had to measure the gauge to make sure that it was correct and like the correct gauge that they wanted, because the people that own the kiosk, they ordered like the shit off of whatever Wish was before it became Wish, the app. So it was like the shittiest quality and like always messed up. Some, like, not always messed up, but like half the time it was messed up. You know what I mean? So I would also like to make another note that right next to my kiosk was another kiosk that was owned by the same people, and it sold purses, customized dog tags, wallets, and huge belt buckles. We would all like chat in between customers. And
Was
so
this the store? It was right by the perfume place and
Foot Locker,
yeah. And then Hot Topic was like kitty corner.
it was like around the corner.
I know exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
That was my spot for like 2 years, I think, or like a
it,
year and a half.
if you went 4 booths towards American Eagle, that's where I worked when I worked at the mall.
Okay.
Mm.
So this lady ends up coming up to me and asking about nipple rings and all this other stuff. So we have like glass, like well, it wasn't glass, it was like the plastic showcases, whatever.
Okay.
So I show her all the like everything we have for nipple rings. And she starts telling me how she's about to go get them done. And like she's super excited and nervous. And she needs to bring her own jewelry for whatever reason.
That's
So,
weird.
right? I had the same thought. She ends up picking out like the lamest one with like a sun shape that laid across like the whole thing. And then the bell bar went through it, you know?
Okay.
So I suggested for her to not get those ones because she's going to be swollen for a while, but she didn't care because they were just so cute.
Ew,
So
I feel like I'm gonna puke.
I know that's how I felt as well. So, like I'm cashing her out. I make sure that they're the right gauge that she wants. And we have to like show them on our like measuring, I forget what it was called, measuring device that what it says. And she's like, yep, they're right. And they were. So she pays, she leaves. And about 2 hours later, the phone rings. It's a lady from a tattoo shop saying that we sold her shitty barbells and it's not even the correct size.
Way.
So I told the lady that I knew exactly who she was talking about and that I measured it before I put it in the bag and that I even showed the buyer and she okayed it. And that we also have cameras that will show this as well because she's screaming
Mm.
at me and shit through the phone. So apparently, she calls my manager, bitches at my manager. My manager then calls the phone at the kiosk, and I'm with another customer, so I couldn't pick it up. So the girl working at the kiosk next to me did, and she vouched for me, saying that I measured it correctly before I gave it to the lady, showed her, blah, 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 checked the cameras because she knew I did it right. Because she like we sure like her kiosk didn't really get much movement, so
Right.
she was always just like standing pretty much at like my kiosk. An hour goes by and the lady shows up with the piercer screaming at me in the middle of a mall, like full mall. Yeah,
What?
telling me to remeasure it. So I explained to her like our company, quote unquote, company policy that once the jewelry leaves our stand, we can't touch it again. We can't take it back. Like I cannot even hold the bag. And we have huge signs all over the kiosk saying this in big bold letters because it's like a health issue. Like it's a health
Yeah,
hazard.
it's a sanitary thing.
Yeah. So they both get really upset. And I told them there's nothing I can do because what I measured is correct. And the lady, like the person, like the lady that bought them, even agreed that it was the right size and everything. And I knew that it was. So I asked the piercer, don't you sell any body jewelry at your shop? Because that's usually a custom for tattoo and piercing parlors.
Yeah.
Like they if they have a piercer, usually they also sell jewelry, and I thought that was super weird. So she gets super defensive and says yeah, but she wanted something different. So I'm like, okay, so why didn't you sell her something that you have from your body jewelry items for her nipples, and
Right.
then she can use the ones that she just bought when they're healed. I am not understanding why you guys are confused. And so they're just both like baffled that I even said that. And they're just as confused as I am. Or like the lady is just as confused as I am because she's like, you can kind of tell, like, hey, yeah, why don't you guys have body jewelry? Whatever. So the piercer gets pissed and starts hitting the plastic like cages that, or not cages, the cases that we have, like the doors that lock up the jewelry.
Okay, crazy.
So, right, she's freaking out. So I asked her if she could please stop before I have to call security. And I just want to say I was tight as fuck with the mall security. went to high school with two of them, and the other two, shout out to Eric and Xavier, that I knew were the dopest people ever and still are. So
I
shout out to them.
I can vouch for this because I went to middle school and freshman year with Xavier, and straight up side story, I was in high school, freshman year English class. There was some Chad being such a fucking dick and just straight talking shit to me about like nothing. Like, I don't know what I did, but like as soon as I walked into class was just berating me. Yeah, just being a jackass. And then I it lasted for like a half hour and I'm like, "Can you stop? Can you stop?" Wouldn't listen, just kept going. And then he said something and I had like a perfect comeback. And this kid like stepped to me.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, bitch, you about to get froggy? Let's leap sign. So he like swung at me and he hit, like punched me in the face. And I was like, okay. So we got into an all out brawl, me and this kid. And I like just like start swinging. Okay. And Xavier comes and lifts my fat ass off of this kid before I murdered him because I just kept going. He picks me up, gets me off this kid, and is like, "Calm down, like you're good, like calm down." And I'm just
Right.
like you said in the last episode, when you get frustrated, you cry. So the fuck
Hmm.
do I. I
Right.
so I'm just standing there like huffing and crying because I'm like so mad. And whatever, I ended up getting suspended for like 3 days, and this kid got suspended for like 3 weeks. But it would have been so much longer, and I would have gone to jail for murder if it was not for Xavier. So,
So shout out again to Eric and Xavier.
yes, shout out.
Right? So back to mine, but
Sorry.
no, you're okay, because that was a lit story. Um, so after this crazy piercer left, throwing her fit and damaging some of the like display cases, I had to call my manager and let her know what happened. And it's instantly my fault. And I for real hung up on her. I was also 18 and didn't care about anything yet. So for the rest of my shift, I just stood there, didn't help a single customer, didn't do my money drop, nothing, because this dumb bitch wanted her nipples pierced and her piercer was a fucking psycho. And I got blamed for it. And I was so pissed off that I got blamed for it. I didn't get fired or anything, and I didn't get in trouble. They were just like, hey, next time, do your drop. Like, for, the money drop.
Yeah,
So that's my story about the nipple piercing lady and her crazy piercer.
that's I don't even understand like why.
I just don't get why this lady wouldn't already have fucking body jewelry at her tattoo and piercing parlor,
Right?
because it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. It just like the whole thing just seems like it's shady and that they were just like doing it out of a house or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But whatever. So
Real quick, I'm so full of high school stories today.
okay.
Same high school that I went to with Xavier. This girl in my math class like randomly just pulled her tit out and she's like, "I'm gonna pierce my nipple." And I'm like, what the fuck?
Ooh.
Like, we weren't friends, like we were acquaintances and like occasionally would have to share a math book. And this bitch pulls her whole ass titty out and is like, "I'm piercing my nipple." And I'm just like, no. And she's like, "Yes." And then shoves a fucking needle through her nipple. And I'm just like, why? Oh my God. And then I like, whenever anybody brings up like getting their nipples pierced, that's all I think about is ninth grade fucking geometry, seeing some girl shove a needle through her titty, and then she puts the ring in and then jiggles her tit at me and goes, "Doesn't it look nice?" And I'm just like, what is happening?
Wait, ew, did she really?
Yeah, dude. It was so fucking gross and random. I cannot.
Ooh.
I'm like, I'm in ninth grade and I'm like, I didn't even know that was like a thing you could get pierced. I was so like not with it.
It's okay. You're forgiven.
I was very sheltered, and yeah, that was very traumatizing. It wasn't though, but it
I
was
mean,
funny.
it kind of sounds traumatizing, but
Okay, well, you go back to being 13 years old and have like a weird girl jiggle her nipple in 2 inches from your face.
I mean, I feel like people did that all the time at our high school because they're like, oh my God, I want like snake bites and my belly button pierced. So like let's just do it all.
Do you remember when I pierced my own lip
Yeah, terrible decisions.
with a push pin?
Yeah, that's why I said terrible decisions.
Oh, it was so bad,
It
guys.
was. But at least you didn't let it heal, so you don't have any holes in your face. So,
I have a scar.
I mean, at least it's not a hole.
I mean, true. Oh,
So, Lacey
Lauren,
is your ball and Betty for this week.
my ball and Betty has to be Sophia. It has
Oh,
to. I feel like she redeemed herself. She had like a whole character arc and redeemed herself and became the hero of the story.
I'll agree.
10 out of
Shout
10
out to
would.
Sophia for being a badass Sicilian gangster.
Mwah, chef's kiss.
For real.
Who was your ball and Betty?
So my ball and Betty is my coworker who worked at the other kiosk who stood up for me when she knew I did my job correctly. So I'm picking her for being a ball and Betty.
Hell yeah. We're always here
Yeah,
for supportive coworkers.
right? Because that doesn't always happen.
No, it does not.
All right, guys. So that is the end of episode 6. And remember, in a world full of Karens, be a fucking Betty.
Ay.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and review. If you want us to read your Karen tales, send them to us. Our email is in our bio, or DM them to us. Lauren, give them those links.
So our Instagram is at excuse me Karen. Check it out, show us some love, send us the DMs, and thank you all for listening.
Bye.
Bye.